Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so hopefully you watched my video last night. If you have not, I highly recommend you go back and watch that because it'll make this video much clearer. And this should be a fairly short video. And by the way, I'm going to use the word coincidentally, but I don't think it is coincidentally. This song is called As Above, So Below. And that ties into this video and last night's video. Okay, so there's a couple, something happened today. I came across a short video, a YouTube short. And I saw the video before and I just, whatever, just passed by, maybe listened to it, didn't, like, whatever, it's just, whatever. And today it had a huge impact and it ties in directly about the video that I made last night. And again, I don't think that's a coincidence. Alright, now watch this. So, last night's video was about a vision that I had, okay? And it was crystal clear, so I'll go really fast over that so you have an idea if you haven't watched the last video. So I was on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I mean on arches that go way, and I think it's about 200 feet above the road that you drive across in the middle, okay? So it's way up there, but the weird thing is I'm up there, and there's people behind me about, well, there's my symbol, I think it's symbolic, my brother that's right behind me on my left side. But behind him about 10-15 feet there's a bunch of people, okay? So I don't know if I mentioned it in the last video, which is not really important right now. So the bridge collapses, the middle of the bridge breaks and collapses into the water. Now here's the thing, I wasn't scared at all. In fact, I was very excited. And the water was here, and I said this in the last video about how the air was fresh, and I think I even said the water, it was crystal clear blue, and I think it was said it was very fresh. And I mentioned how it was a cleansing, okay? So the bridge collapsing is symbolic for the societal way of thinking that either or thinking, that linear, logical, narrow vision way of thinking is collapsing. The whole systems around the world, especially the Western world, are built on this way of thinking. Now in the last video, I kept talking about how crystal clear blue the water was and how fresh the air was and the sky was crystal clear blue and it was like a refreshing, right? And I used the word fresh a couple times. Now I find this really, really, really incredible what just happened today. So I find this short, I'm going to give you the name, it's not really clear, so at the bottom it says Jesus and Demons, at the very top in the video in print it says Hollywood plus Jesus, are they right? Now this is a really interesting thing what he talks about in the Bible, okay? Now I'm going to leave the clip in the description box, and if I forget, remind me, okay, just put a message in there. So he talks about, he says Jesus was confronted by a man who was filled with demons and they said that we are legion, we are many. So he goes on to say that Jesus cast out the demons and he cast them into a herd of swine that were nearby. Okay, so the demons go out of the man, legion go out of the man into the herd of swine. And then what happens is that the swine essentially go crazy and then they run off the cliffs into the rocks below, into the sea, and they die. Now, before I go further on, I had a client about, I think it was 3 years ago. And we were talking about, he had brought up, he goes, have you ever noticed, because we were talking about fishing, and I used to live in Wisconsin, so we had ice fished on the pond and the lakes, etc. And he goes, have you ever noticed how, what did he say? I think he said violent or predatorial, how fish are. He goes, you're pulling up this fish, that bit onto a little minnow fish that you put on a hook, and then as you're pulling up, a bigger fish will come and get it and will bite half of it off as you're trying to reel it through the hole. And then he said, can you imagine living like that? Every moment of every day, your life is at risk. Everything is trying to kill everything. And that is the kill or be killed mentality. And back to the short, the man goes on to say in this YouTube video short, he says, and the seas have always belonged to him. Now he's obviously referring to Satan or the demon, etc. So whenever, okay, so if a demon or entity is inside someone, in fact there's been movies made about this, if that body host dies, then the spirit goes out into someone nearby, okay? Now there's a movie made where, I can't remember the movie, but it was pretty popular back, it was like 15, 20 years ago, where this spirit would hop from person to person to person as people were walking downtown. And this one person who was awake, I think it was Denzel Washington, I think it was one of his movies. And he noticed this, and what he did was eventually this spirit got into him, or it got into someone he knew, and he took that person way out, and it was a bad, evil person, well, because of the demon, obviously, and he took him way, way out of town, out into the forest, out into the trees, and then he killed the man, because if there's nothing around, then the demon can't jump from host to host, then the demon dies. So if I remember right, in that movie, the demon did jump from the man that Denzel Washington killed, and it went into Denzel, and then Denzel I think shot himself and killed himself, and then the demon had nowhere to go. Now here's the deal, when the swine ran down the hill and jumped off the cliff into the rocky sea, because there's big boulders and rocks sticking out, and killed themselves, committed suicide, when they died, there was fish and other, animals, etc., hosts in the water. So now I'm going to go back. So in other words, the demons didn't die. They just jumped out of the pigs when the pigs died, and then they went into something else. Meaning something in the water. Okay? And then he goes on to say, the seas have always belonged to him, meaning Satan. And then he says, it's his domain. And then he says, why did Jesus walk over the water? To show his power over the devil. Moses parting the sea, the same thing, showing power over the demon. And then he says, all of the dragons and the 4 horsemen, where did they come from? They rose up from the seas. Isn't that interesting? So here's the deal about the Bible. Do not listen to people who do not understand symbology. That the symbol means something deeper. So most of you have probably heard that story, read that story probably a dozen times or maybe even 100 times, and you never really understood what it meant. Now you do. So I bet a bunch of you just stopped at, oh, Jesus took the demons out of that poor man and threw him into the swine, and the swine went off the cliffs and they died in the sea. Yeah, well, what does that mean? You didn't go past that. What that meant is the demons were released unto the sea. Now here we go back to my client who's telling me, it's like everything underneath the water is just so vicious. It's like constantly kill or be killed. He goes, could you imagine living like that? So now in the comments on the right, here, let me grab them. I'm actually going to save them. So a commenter said something very, very interesting. Now watch this. He says, that's why the ocean is salt water as well. Salt is a purifier. In the new world, the sea will be fresh water because the enemy will be defeated. No need for salt. No need for salt water. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Now this is where it ties back into my vision that I had 2 nights ago and about the video I uploaded last night. You know how they say God speaks in mysterious ways? So as I had this vision, I just uploaded and started speaking about what I understood. But when I saw this video and this made a lot more sense, because the water's coming underneath into the bay from the ocean. It was fresh water. It was crystal clear blue. Now, if you've ever been to the bay, San Francisco, in the ocean outside, it's not crystal clear. It's not blue. It's very dark. So the ocean or the seas were made salty to purify it from all the evil, etc. So now, have you ever, okay, I know you guys have heard me, especially if you've done coaching with me one-on-one. I've made videos in the past. Now, it's been a while. But a lot of people ask me, like, well, how do you disconnect from narcissists? Because you feel like they attach to you, right? Well, one of the ways you do it is what's called, some people call it a spirit bath. I don't necessarily personally call it that, but a spirit bath is when you, get warm water, get in the bathtub, and you put salt in there. Now, preferably, I like salt water. I don't think you have to use salt water. If you just have salt, you can use that, or you can go to the Dollar Tree or the dollar store. They sell sea salt there all the time. Like, I've never not gone there and not seen it there. So you can get it really cheap for like $1.25. In fact, I would grab a couple of those because I use about half of that when I take a bath. Okay. Now, you can also add lavender oil, because lavender, put about 6 to 8 drops of lavender oil in. If it's hot water, it'll steam, and that'll help clear your nose. And that's supposed to, it's a spiritual thing, but it also relaxes you. So what does salt water do? It energetically breaks up any kind of corrosion or negative connections. So if you have any kind of negative connections to people or to things, it literally, it's like to say cut karmic ties, or cut ties to people, or whatever. So when you have like a bad experience with someone, taking a warm salt water bath is a really good thing to do. So it's really simple. All you need is sea salt, and really that's all you need right there. You can use regular salt, even Epsom salt will help. So what I do is I do sea salt, and I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol, maybe a cup or two, in the water. And because rubbing alcohol also breaks up the negative connections and negative ties, it cuts those ties, okay? And then I add about 6, maybe 8 drops of lavender oil, and then I light a candle, okay? And I generally do it in the dark with a candle. That's how I do it, because it's relaxing. The other thing I would do is do a lot of deep breaths, about 10-15 deep breaths while you're taking a hot bath, because the lavender will get inside your lungs, etc., and that will help you to relax so you can sleep better, or just to relax. So that's the reason why the oceans and the seas are full of salt, is to essentially combat this evil and this demonic entity and thing that's going on, to cleanse the animals and just to fight it. So there's coming a day, and I believe it's going to be soon, where all of this is going to shift. And I'll be honest with you, I'd be really surprised if the oceans became fresh water, but if they do that, it's going to be incredible. So now I want to add one more thing, and I've said this in the past too. So I always say to people, like, haven't you ever noticed that whenever you go to the ocean and you jump in the water and you run around and you swim and you lay on the beach, etc., you ever notice that for the next 3, 4, 5 days, you just feel refreshed, you feel alive, you just feel really, really good? Well, it's because of the sea salt. The salt breaks down and disconnects or cuts ties to all those negative connections. And have you ever noticed how free you feel? Like, after you've gone to the beach, you just feel free. You can move freely, you can breathe freely, you just feel free. Alright, so now this person responds to someone else, and he says, "For whom the Son sets free is free indeed," which is true. "If I have said something wrong, I repent if I have said anything wrong. Therefore," so he goes on to say, "Therefore there is no condemnation in Christ. He did not come to condemn, but to set men free." Which is why a church should be a place of absolute mental and emotional and physical freedom. I mean, to the sense of, you should be able to feel like you can walk around free without being judged. And yet, I don't feel that way when I go to churches. I don't feel that way when I'm listening to Christians. It's like constant condemnation. I'm like, what are you doing? Christ himself said, "For even I do not," N-O-T, not sit in the seat of judgment. So this has always perplexed me as to why Christians feel like they have the right to walk around constantly judging and condemning people. I don't get it. And it may literally be something that I just don't get. I'm like, okay, well, I've been going to this church for 8 years, and yet people constantly judge me and condemn me and tell me I'm going to hell. Like, I don't get it. The pastors don't. The elders don't. They're the ones who raised me up to be an associate pastor. So that's always been a really weird experience that I've had with churches. It's the same thing with this other church I went to. Dr. Laura Gainey was the head pastor, and he and I were best friends. We spoke every Monday. We had a meeting, not every Monday, but almost every Monday. And if it wasn't Monday, then it would be another day in the week. So it just didn't make sense. So it's like, this is just something that I've always had a challenge with when it comes to people going to churches. Like, Have you not heard the good news? So please understand at this point, Christ came not to condemn man, but to free man. And you get all these Christians talking about, well, what about this rule? What about you're a sinner? You're going to hell. This is a sin. That's a sin. And it's like, you completely missed the point, man. Jesus did not come to condemn man. He came to set man free. And Jesus also said, the truth shall set you what? Shall set you free. So I'm excited about this vision. I'm excited when I found this video today and I finally watched it. I was like, oh, that's what he was trying to say. Like, and the funny thing is, it's absolutely, and not only that, but then the comments is absolutely in alignment with what my vision was about the fresh water. So my only intention, especially in this video, is really, and I would say in all of my videos, is just to set you free, to say, hey, the price has already been paid. You are not to walk around feeling guilty, hanging your head low, and oh, I'm a sinner and I'm no good. And that, I'm telling you right now, that is from the devil. I am telling you. Because those of you on my channel who've dealt with narcissists, what do? They try to make you shame you. They try to blame you. They try to say, oh, this is wrong. You did this wrong. This is bad. It's constant judgment. And that's what Christ freed you from a long, long time ago. You are free. The price has already been paid in full. That's why Jesus walked across the water, to show that he had power over the devil. It's done. So as God created this third dimension, it was a gift that was meant to be enjoyed. So go out there and live life. Find work that you enjoy. Find work that is meaningful to you. Find people that are loving and kind, compassionate, that are meaningful, that are more fulfilling in your life. Enjoy your life. You are free to do so. Go out there, make money, have fun, create masterpieces, create artworks, develop new things, be creative, have fun, and enjoy. Hey, this is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment. And if you like, go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal button or a link right down there in the description box. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. May you enjoy your travels through the universe, through life, and through the spirit world. Things are going to get better.